morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always, told out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to take a look at a winning Tapu Koko VMAX deck. And I think we've gotten to the point with the VMAXs from Battle Styles that I need to be, and I know this is a weird thing for me especially to say, a little bit more enthusiastic and give a little bit more of the benefit of the doubt. Now, I've seen a couple of winning Tapu Koko lists. One of them is a fairly standard one that is very much a Pikachu and Zekrom deck, and it plays Mewtwo and Mew, as the decks nowadays tend to do so. That's pretty standard now in Mewtwo and Mew decks. And then you've got your Boltund V, your Raichu and Alolan Raichu. It looks very much like you would expect a Pikachu and Zekrom deck to look, but with a 2-2 line of Tapu Koko VMAX added in. It's cool, it's a way to play it, and it's something we can probably talk about in the future, but that's not the list of Tapu Koko VMAX I want to focus on today. Although, just to be clear, putting a 2-2 Tapu Koko line in a traditional Pikachu and Zekrom deck does seem like a really good idea. No, ladies and gentlemen, I've got a much better deck to show you today. Now, starting off with Tapu Koko V and VMAX, it is important to note we have actually got a couple of Tapu Koko V here. Of course, there was one in Sword and Shield, and it seems to be that we like the old Tapu Koko a little bit better. There's a 3-1 split. Now, the old Tapu Koko, of course, has free retreat, which is clearly a very, very nice thing indeed. It's got an attack for a single energy, which will do 20 damage and draw you a couple of cards, which is quite nice. And for free energy, you do 200 damage. And you can't attack next turn, but you've got free retreat, so I rather suspect it will work out just fine and dandy. And that is the one we generally tend to play a little bit more of. There is one copy of the other one here. That is the new Tapu Koko. Like I say, we're talking a 3-1 split here. 1 energy, 40 damage, free energy, 20, plus 40 more for each energy attached to each of your opponent's Pokemon. So this is very much a case of, it's good when your opponent attaches a whole bunch of energy, so playing it as a one-off makes a huge amount of sense. Generally, you'd prefer the free retreat and the free energy 200, but there are going to be those times your opponent does pile a whole bunch of energy on, or it's a deck where you're fairly sure, or you know they're going to, in which case this new Tapu Koko looks a whole bunch better. Then we move over into Tapu Koko VMAX, and this is really the only attacker you're playing in the deck. And what we've got here is free energy, 180 damage. If you've got more prize cards remaining than your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. So essentially what you're doing here is absolutely beautiful. Either you're ahead in the game, so you're just hitting 180 for free energy, but that's fine. Remember, if you are ahead, you can hit 200 for free energy with the other Tapu Koko. You have been warned. Or you're behind in the game, but for the entire time you're behind, you're paralyzing or KOing with every hit, so your opponent doesn't really get out of it that way. If you're behind, you're always paralyzing until you're at least level, and that is awesome. But wouldn't it be great if you could guarantee that you would be behind, so you could guarantee this paralysis? Why, yes, it would. And that's where Electrode comes in. This is just a combo which was absolutely waiting to be made. You see, Electrode's got Bazap Generator, which lets you KO it, and search your deck for 2 lightning energy and attach them to your lightning Pokemon in any way that you like. So you're giving up a prize, which means that you're behind on prizes, which means automatic paralysis, but it also then gets the energy on. And this gets 2 energy. You then attach an energy from your hand to Tapu Koko, and oh, would you look at that. That's the free energy you need, and you are off and rolling. And it's incredibly risky, but what you can do here is actually blow up multiple Electrode to keep yourself behind on prizes, to keep the paralysis rolling. Although it's really important to note you're giving up prizes, and when you KO, your opponent will be able to return the KO. And obviously if they're returning the KO, while you're also giving up prizes with Electrode, that could end up being a little bit awkward, shall we say. But the option is always there to go, I'm tied on prizes. I'll just blow it up. And remember, like, if you've got 2 prizes to give until you lose the game, blow up an Electrode, your opponent needs 1 prize to win, but you will be paralyzing every single turn until you win the game. But wait, I hear you shout. If my opponent's paralyzed, can't they just switch out? Can't they just get out the active? Well, no, ladies and gentlemen. Not if you play Omastar. And that really is the only other Pokemon we're playing here, and it's the only other Pokemon we really want to play. It is just Tapu Koko VMAX, Electrode, and Omastar. Now, if you've forgotten Omastar, Omastar's got the ability whereby if you've got fewer Pokemon in play than your opponent, and it must be fewer, not fewer than or equal to, your opponent cannot play item cards, which means essentially either they've got Mallow and Lana, but they've got to find it playing their deck without item cards, or they can't switch out. So not only are you paralyzing, but Electrode, and this is why Electrode is so amazing in this deck. Firstly, it means you can control when you give up prizes to get the paralysis going, but secondly, you can just have 1 Omastar, 1 Tapu Koko out, although if your Tapu Koko goes down, that can be an issue, obviously, but you need to judge that for yourself. And then Electrode can blow itself up, and then it's not sitting there on the bench. But if your opponent's played too many Pokemon, you can leave an Electrode sitting there, ready to use it as and when. If your opponent can make do with 2 Pokemon, it might be an issue, and certainly if they KO your only Tapu Koko and all you've got left on the field is an Omastar, that can be an issue. But I love this particular deck. Paralysis plus ability lock plus energy acceleration. Sounds good to me. Now, in terms of energy, obviously you're playing lightning energy. It's a lightning deck. That's what Electrode accelerates. Though really important to note, Electrode accelerates from your deck, so you don't need to play lots and get them in a discard or any of that. If there are 2 energy in your deck, Electrode will work just fine. We play Speed Lightning Energy here because when you attach it, you get to draw 2 cards. That seems like a pretty good thing. And then we've got Capture Energy here, which we see more and more of. Capture Energy is really important because Capture Energy will get your basic out so that you can then evolve it and roll. Now, moving over into trainers, the most important one here is probably Pokemon Research Lab. Because the awkward thing about Omastar, of course, is it's not actually evolving from a Pokemon, it's evolving from a fossil. But we don't want to muck about with fossils, and we're not playing fossils, we're playing Pokemon Research Lab. That lets you search for 2 Pokemon that evolve from unidentified fossil, your Omanite here, and then whack them onto the bench. I mean, it ends your turn, but in the early game, all you want to do is get your Omastar out anyway. And the deck is really built to take advantage of this. So we got a couple copies of Guzma and Hala. That lets you search for a special energy. Capture and Speed Lightning, remember, will help advance your setup. A stadium card, which is this, and a Pokemon tool. I mean, Pokemon tools are not huge, honestly. There's Air Balloon, so yeah, go Air Balloon, I suppose, but it's not really what we're relying on here. But it's nice if you get something trapped in the active. Certainly you want to leave 1 on an Omastar in case your opponent does hit a boss's orders or something like that. And then we've got 4 copies of Tag Call. So we might only be playing 2 at the stadium, but between the 4 Tag Call and the 2 supporters and the 2 stadiums, that is 8 chances to draw into that turn 1, which you really should do. But because we're playing so many Tag Call, we might as well play some other of these tag team supporters as well, because there's no tag team Pokemon coming in. We've got Cynthia and Caitlin, which lets you draw 3 cards while recovering a supporter, and the aforementioned Mallow and Lana lets you switch while healing 120 damage, and that's when you really do want an Air Balloon on your Omastar, so you can free retreat and just keep attacking again. We've then got Marnie. Marnie lets you shuffle your hand, and both of you and your opponent, put them on the bottom of your deck, you get 5 cards, your opponent gets 4. And this is awesome here, because we don't want to play Professor's Research, because we cannot be discarding stuff like our Omastar, etc., because we've got to get it out, so you don't want to play Professor's Research in this deck. Outside of that, we obviously play our own boss's orders for Dragon Pokemon active. That could be to KO them, But you can also drag a Pokemon active knowing that you can get a 2-hit KO, and Tapu Koko will 2-hit KO anything because you have got the whole paralysis thing going, which sounds like an awful lot of fun. Elsewhere, we've got a couple copies of Reset Stamp. Makes your opponent shuffle the hand into their deck and draw a number of cards equal to their remaining prizes. We got a couple here because you got to remember you're going to be item locking your opponent, so putting them down to like a 2-card hand is going to be hilarious. We've got an Escape Rope, which works as a little bit of switching, as well as making your opponent switch, which could force an awkward Pokemon in the active, bearing in mind you're going to paralyze them. And then in terms of Pokemon Search, this is a weird Pokemon Search line here. We've got 4 copies of Evolution Incense, which will get your evolutions, and bearing in mind it's an evolution deck, all your Pokemon you want are evolved, and then 3 copies of Pokemon Communication, which is a weird one because that swaps a Pokemon in your hand for a Pokemon in your deck. There's actually no Quick Ball. We found the fabled deck that does not play Quick Ball. But your Pokemon Research Lab is going to get your fossils, or your evolved fossils. You've got Capture Energy to get your basics, and bearing in mind you are looking for that turn 1 Guzma and Hala. The deck is built with 4 tag switch to get the turn 1 Guzma and Hala, which will get a Capture Energy, which will get a Tapu Koko, and you can't start with the Omastar line, so either you start Koko, or you start Voltorb, but if you start Voltorb, you're going to play Guzma and Hala and get your Lab, your Capture Energy, and your Air Balloon. So actually, you're gonna be alright here. This is a weird deck. It's weirdly built, it's strange, it's not what we usually expect, and I'll tell you for nothing, I absolutely love it. Item lock plus paralysis? Yeah. Count me in, ladies and gentlemen. Count me in. But I want to know what you think, so let me know in the comment section, would ya? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.